Okay, from now on I'm recording. If you have any problem with internet or connections or energy, you can see these classes in YouTube later. Okay. So again, Pablo will be the pad of this course. If all the communications will do through the Moodle systems. If you are not familiar with Moodle, let us know. But it's very easy to understand how Moodle system works. Okay. Today we're going to have 3 parts. The first part will explain how will be the course. The second part will be a general seminar on how we use reservoir simulation and especially in managing petroleum reservoirs. And the last part will be the start of an introduction, general introduction about reservoir simulation, what reservoir simulation is. So it's very important for you to ask questions if you don't have any experience with reservoir simulation, or even if you have experience, please compliment, ask questions about any doubt you have. Okay, it's very important for a graduate course that we have interaction and have questions and discussions. Okay. Okay, the course is presented here. I hope you can see. If you have any problem listening to me or seeing the slides and things, just let me know. Okay. So here we are presenting what we're gonna have in the course, and usually until 2 years ago, the first part of the course was to explain what is the reservoir simulation, explaining the tool and what we have inside, the equations and so on. And the second part of the course was dedicated to applications. From 2 or 3 years ago, we inverted that. I think it was a good thing to do. There are advantages and disadvantages, but first we're going to see some presentations of how the simulation works, how we apply reservoir simulation in reservoir management. And then we are going to understand what is inside the reservoir simulation in the second part that we call applications and theory. Why we inverted that? For 2 reasons. First of all, because it's important for you to start the project since the beginning, so we have more time to finish the projects. Okay, and then you in the application seminars you can have an idea on what you have to do in the projects, right? And the applications. And the second advantage is that when we see the theory, you already are working with simulations, so we have more questions to ask and you have doubts and things like this. Because especially for those who don't have any experience with reservoir simulation, in the beginning, if I start talking about the theory and you don't have any experience, it would be worse to do it. Of course, there are some disadvantages that probably in the first application seminars, maybe you're going to have some difficulties to understand the detail, but please let us know if you have any questions, any doubt, and we can send you more information about the doubt you have, okay? So in the applications part, as you can see here, we are going to see the complete applications of reservoir simulation. First, we're going to understand how we do the reservoir characterization and how we represent a reservoir in a reservoir simulation, which will be given by Manuel Correa and Guilherme Avanci. These 2 seminars are dedicated to understand how we put the information that we have about rock, about oil, and about everything into reservoir simulation, and how we construct a reservoir simulation model. Okay. After that, we're going to see how we use dynamic data to improve the models. We call data simulation for reservoir uncertainty reduction. As the seminar goes, you're going to see, if you don't have any experience about that we have a lot of uncertainties in the problem we solve using reservoir simulation. So we use dynamic data. We're going to explain what it is in a few moments to improve the quality of these models. Okay, and in the industry they call that history matching. We don't call that history match anymore here for some particular reasons we're going to explain in the course, but it's the same thing. We're going to use history data to improve the quality of the models, okay? Then we have a few seminars dedicated to use the reservoir simulation to do a better management of the fields. Vinicius, João, and Susana will explain you how to integrate the simulation to take decisions and to improve the decision-making process of the process, okay? And then Alessandra will talk about the integration with Seismic 4D. We included this seminar because, especially in Brazil, but in several parts of the world, the 4D seismic is very important to improve the quality of the models. And the same thing as we do as in the seminar of Célio, Alessandro will show that we can use dynamic data of seismic 4D to improve the models, okay? And this will complete the cycle of the applications we're gonna check and we're gonna have in the course, okay? And then the second part that will be given by me, we are going to explain what is inside the reservoir simulation, explaining what's the numerical model, explaining the black oil model, the compositional model, how we treat wells, how we construct the model. So the focus of the course is more applications, how we use reservoir simulation to solve problems. But it's very important for you to understand what's inside the simulator. That's our focus. It's not a complete numerical techniques model, things like this, but it's important for you to understand what's inside the reservoir simulation, okay? Then we're going to have a test, and then we're going to have the presentations, the project presentations, okay? We are based on the past experience that we have 30 people, 20 people, we need 2 days for presentations. If you're going to have just 7 or 8 students, maybe we can do all the presentations in 1 day, so we have 1 day left for an additional class. But before we change this, I'll have to make sure that we have a few students, okay? Please interrupt me if you have any questions about anything. So there are a lot of vacations here, about of holidays in the middle of this semester, okay? That's why we're going to finish only on December 14th, okay? Okay. About the exams and deliverables, we're going to have, first of all, a tutorial. Pablo will send you information by the Moodle system how we're going to solve the tutorial. This tutorial is a tutorial of one of the main simulators, which is CMG simulators. It's a step-by-step procedure in how we construct a reservoir simulation model using the tools. So it's very simple to do it, but it's very important for you to do, especially for those who have no experience with reservoir simulation, okay? And at the end of the tutorial, we have a challenge, and we have to finish this challenge because the tutorial is equal for everybody. All the steps are the same. But when you finish the model, you have a challenge, which is to put an additional well and produce the most oil you can from this reservoir that we construct, okay? And it's important for you to do this tutorial as soon as possible. I'm gonna talk about some details about this at the end of the class, but it's very important for you to have access to a reservoir simulation. If you don't have any access to our network, to our cluster, and so on, please let Pablo know that we're going to solve this as soon as possible, okay? We're going to have just one test at the end of the course. This will contemplate all the applications and all the theory, okay? And the most of the class will be dedicated to the projects. We're going to have a project report and a project presentation, okay?
Denis.
Ok, sim, Pablo.
Perdão, em questão ali desculpa interromper, em questão ali do tutorial, Denis, a maioria dos alunos já me falou que eles não têm acesso a simulador. Seria bom depois ver se todo mundo consegue vir para cá, pelo menos para trabalhar na sala de micros, ou procurar outra alternativa.
Sim, we're gonna give them alternatives. which is, I'll talk about that at the end of class, but you're right. We have to give any alternative, maybe to go to Unicamp to work in our computing room. Maybe you're gonna provide access to the Unisync network. There are several alternatives. We have to discuss with everybody which is the best alternative. Okay.
Okay.
But it's important for you to have access to the simulators. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to do the course. Okay. So when you in the interval here, or maybe in the end of the class, maybe you can talk to Pablo, and then we're gonna give alternatives for you. Okay. Okay. The projects will be divided in 3 categories. The first one is it emulates a field in the beginning of the field life. So we're gonna have to decide which platform we're gonna put, how many wells, how many producers, how many injectors, and so on. The second category is for a reservoir that you already have the wells and the platform installed. You have to manage the field. And the third alternatives, which is the data simulation, we're gonna give you data, and you'll have to improve the quality of the model based on this data. These are the 3 main type of works we have using reservoir simulators. Okay, so if you're doing the graduate course based on one of these topics, it's very important for you to select the project related to your thesis. Okay, if you're not doing anything related to reservoir simulation, you're just doing the course to understand, and you're not gonna use this in the thesis, you have to select one of these 3 topics. At the end of the class today, I'm gonna give an idea for those who would have no experience, and how you can select one of the projects based on your needs. Okay, maybe the first 2 are more dedicated to use optimization process. You're going to optimize solutions and so on. And the third one is for those who are more familiar with reservoirs and characterization and improvement of models and so on. Okay, but if you have questions about that, don't. Maybe we're going to have 1 or 2 weeks for you to decide the project. Okay, maybe you can decide the project until the end of the tutorial. The tutorial will be, we're going to have 3 weeks to finish. Okay, so at the end of the tutorial, it's very important for you to define, this is the deadline for you to define the project. Okay, okay, the examining board here will be, maybe you're going to change a little bit just because of the number of the students. Maybe you can give a little bit more time than 20 minutes. Maybe half an hour to do the presentation, and a report maximum of 10 pages, okay, to explain what we did in the projects. But we're going to discuss about the project in the next classes. Don't worry if you don't get all the details today. Okay. Okay, as I was saying, the subject of the content of the course is all in Moodle, so you can access Moodle. This material here will be sent by Pablo, by Moodle, right, in the Moodle system. And if you don't have access to Moodle, please let Pablo know as soon as possible. Okay. And the classes from this point on will be in Portuguese. But the class is very similar to this one, the same order and the same thing in English are recorded in YouTube. I'm going to put here the channel here. If you can see here, there is a channel on YouTube called with my name here, and you can put in the playlist here. The playlist have some courses here, but one of the courses is reservoir simulation. You can click it here, and we have all the classes in the same order. We're going to have this year. Even if we want to see the class before we go to class, so you can take questions and ask questions and doubts and so on. You can see all the classes are here in the same order from last year. Okay, And these classes are all in English. So that's why I'm giving the courses in Portuguese. So we're going to have the two alternatives. We're going to have the alternative in English or in Portuguese, the one you prefer, okay? Okay. Let me finish the recording. And then from this point on, we are going to do the course in Portuguese, okay?